All right, sorry about that today, guys. I know you're just devastated that class went out on us, but I'll just kind of walk you through that first project right here, and you can watch it back and follow along at your own time. So here is my Revit start menu where I have kind of all of the last or latest projects I've worked on and any families. As I said, we're not going to do much with families in this course. And what I'm going to do, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to want to open an architectural template. On occasion, I might go and use something like the residential template, but really architectural is going to be what I'm going to want. So I'm just going to open up a new drawing, and I get presented with my Revit interface. I have my drawing area right here. I've got all of my different toolbars up at the top, my properties bar, which tells me anything about what I currently have selected, and my project browser, which shows me what view I'm looking at. Whichever one's bolded is going to be the view I'm currently in. If for some reason you accidentally close one of these out and it disappears, you can go to the View tab up at the top, User Interface, and then you can just get it back. And they can come right back. You're going to need them no matter what. I know that they can sometimes take up space, but you need them while you're drawing everything. And as I had said, you want to make sure that you're drawing inside these little areas. So these are cameras essentially set up for all of your elevations. And you just want to make sure that you're drawing inside that area. So I'm going to start in the architectural tab, and that's where I'm going to spend most of my time for my drawings. And I'm just going to start by putting my walls down. So within the wall tool, we'll notice that my toolbar up at the top updated to give me kind of modify tools. I'm going to ignore all of that for now. And I've got a couple of different property tools, which are very similar to what I have here in the properties bar. So all of these different options in here, I can also find in this menu here. If I click on the specific wall, I can switch over to different wall types. And I can make my own custom walls and define them specifically for my project if I need to or want to, which I'm going to do after I kind of just lay everything out. Our constraints are how we're going to be drawing everything. So I'm going to set my location line constraint. That's where I'm typing measurements in from the core face exterior. My base constraint is the bottom part of my wall. I'm going to leave that at level 1 right now. And my top constraint, I'm going to change it from being an unconnected top to just going up to level 2. Level 2 is going to be where I put my roof. And at that point then, I'm ready to start drawing everything. So once you move out of the properties bar, it'll kind of just update and apply everything you have in there. You can come down here and click this apply button, but it's not really necessary. To start placing my walls, I'm just going to zoom in, click to start my wall, and then type in the distance that I want to go. As I had said, Revit is automatically thinking in feet because it's an architectural program. So if I type in 24, it's going to automatically think 24 feet. And then I'll just move my mouse in the direction I want to go, type in my distance, enter. Move my mouse in the direction I want to go, type in my distance, enter. I can also click for endpoints, and I'm just going to add on my little bathroom extension while I'm at it. So a nice thing with Revit is that it's automatically cleaning up all of those different corners. It's trimming everything because it knows what you're making. I'm going to switch my wall type now to kind of just a generic thinner wall. I'll go with generic 5-inch to do that interior partition. So I just came here, switched up my wall type, and it will actually snap to the middle for me, and I can just draw a line going right across the middle. And so then I have the floor plan of everything set up fairly easily without any of my windows or doors yet. but we'll get there in just a moment. If I come up here to my quick toolbar, I'll be able to just easily switch over to a 3-dimensional view. And so now I can start to see my model as a 3D object. If I hold down Shift and the scroll wheel, I can orbit around and I can look at different sides of it, and I can start to kind of just put all the parts and pieces together. You'll also notice that when I clicked on my little 3D icon, a little view type came here in the project browser for a 3D option. So I can actually switch in between all of my different views. Control Tab also lets me cycle through views. So if I hold Control and hit Tab, I can switch between any views that I have currently active. The next thing I'm going to do is just to start to add some of my doors into my building. I'm going to use the Door tool, and I've got different types of doors. You'll notice that in the default architectural template, only one door is currently loaded in, and it's just giving us a couple of different sizes. It's telling us its width and its height. I want this door that's 36 by 80, and I'm just going to hold down scroll to pan, and I can see the different numbers that pop up when I go to place it. And so that's telling me how far it is from a center to the center of the wall to the center of the door. What I usually do is just place my door, and then after the fact, you can go click on these numbers and change them. I always just place things in there and then go in with dimension strings and kind of move every little thing around to exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to place another door right here. You know what, I'm actually going to purposely move that guy over so I can show you how to align them. And then I need a pocket door and a door opening as well to kind of help fit in all of my different parts and pieces. So to load in a door opening, because if I go to the Door tool and I look at all of my different options, there is no opening here. What I've got to do is go to Load Family, and that opens up all of the different types of families that Revit has, and they just haven't preloaded them into the program, just because it would take a lot of time to have all of these things loaded in automatically, and there's no way I'm going to use every one of these things. I'm going to go to the Doors category, and if I click once, it'll kind of show me information about what type of door it is. Keep in mind, these ones here labeled curtain wall, they can only go inside a specific type of wall called a curtain wall, just like a glass wall. We'll get into that in later classes. But I just want to get this door opening, and then just click open, and then I can place an opening inside of that wall. I'm not doing anything too specific right now. I'm just kind of getting the gist of where I want my different parts and pieces to go, and then I can start adding in all of my specific measurements. I need to load in a pocket door, which I'm not even sure if there is a pocket door, but in the Door tool, I'm going to go to Load Family. I'm going to go to the Doors section, and there is no pocket door here. Let's see if I go into Residential. Is there a pocket door? Double pockets. What? So that seems like it's kind of a pocket door, but I don't like that one. I like this one. Interior pocket. So I'm going to click on Open. It's asking me like which size do I want to load in. If I just click OK, it'll load in all of them. I don't have to go and select which particular ones I want. And then I can come from here and place my pocket door inside. So now I've got all of my doors taken care of. I'm not going to worry anything too much about line weights just yet. Now, if I wanted to change anything about this door in particular, I can click on it, and I can change things regarding in the properties bar, or I can also go to edit type, and I can change things about it in here. So I can change its width, I can change its height. So for instance, this one is 7 feet tall, and I want it to be 6'8", so I can just change it to 6'8". And we're not going to see anything change too much right now, but in the model itself, it did change its height. I'm going to double click in my properties browser on the 3D view. And so now we can see kind of all of our doors get placed in and everything. Double click on the floor plan to get back into the floor plan. Another nice interesting thing is, like, if I click on this door, we'll notice these little arrows that pop up. So I can easily just switch which way the door swings if I wanted to, or if I placed it and it just didn't place exactly how I wanted to place it, I can easily just go and manipulate and change it to how I want it to be. Adding our windows. So back in the architecture tab, I'm going to click on the window button. Who would have thought to add a window? And there are a couple of windows that are automatically placed in here. And what I want is a double hung window. There isn't one that is the exact size I want. So what I'm going to do is click on any one of them. I'm going to go to edit type. And I'm going to duplicate this window. And I'm going to change it to be 36 inches by 60 inches. The reason why I'm giving it that name is because I want it to just kind of fit in with the scheme of all the names that everything else is. They're all named by width and height, so I'm just going to kind of keep that going. I want to duplicate it and then name it because I don't want to change that original one. Because what if I wanted to use that original one later on in this project? I don't, but if I wanted to, I want to make sure I have that option. And so for a width, I'm just going to change it to be 3 foot 0 inches. And for height, I'm going to change to 5. You can also just type in like the number for foot, space, the number for inches, and it'll automatically change it. And I'll click OK. And now I have this new window type. So I'm just going to start placing my windows. I know I need 2 over here. I need 1 around here and another one around here. So I'm just kind of giving a general placement for my windows. I'm not being too specific with any particular part or piece. And then I can go in after the fact, after I start to add in all the parts to my wall, and I can make everything very specific for what I'm looking for. The reason why I like to do it that way is because I want to try to keep all of my numbers as nice, even numbers, or try my hardest at least. And since it's so easy to just change them after the fact, I can really just change one and then move the other ones with it. And it really wouldn't be the end of the world. Hit escape a bunch of times to end the command. And I can also click on any of these and I can use my arrow keys to kind of nudge them into place. I do that a lot whenever I'm working with Revit. All right. I need to then make new windows for my little kind of bathroom window that I have going on over here. And so I'm going to go back into the window command, edit type, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to name this one 36 by 1'6" would be 18. I blanked for a minute. And then I'm just going to change the height of it to be 1'6". I'll click OK. And I can add in my little window over here. And I've got another one sitting over here too. And so now I've got all of my doors, all of my windows, and my walls kind of placed. Everything's being made in this 3D model. Don't worry, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to change these heights. And the really nice thing is that if you look at it three-dimensionally and you don't like it, you can always click on a part, hit delete, or right-click on it and delete it. And if I go back into my floor plan, we can see that that window is no longer there. So any changes that you make in one view, as I had said, are going to change in all of the views. Hold on, my dog is wanting to go outside. All right, next, I'm going to just kind of add the different layers to my wall that I need to have there. So if I click on one of the walls and go to Edit Type, I'm going to duplicate it and call it Exterior Wall, and OK. And then I'm going to want to edit the structure of it. So we can see here that it has a width of 8, but it doesn't necessarily tell us anything else, any other details that we really need to know, because all of that's going to be found in this structure. So I'm going to go to edit the structure, and we can see that there's just one material located in here. There's nothing defined about it, which is why like our R value and our thermal mass and everything are just set at 0. And I'm just going to insert in more materials. I can move any of these inside of this. And so what I usually do is just click on the material you want to move and then up. Click on what you want to move and then down. So I usually have my siding, my sheathing, the core boundary layer, which we don't do anything with. It's just kind of there to show us the boundary. My stud, and then like my drywall. So any of my outside layers, my stud is the only thing I'll ever put in the core boundary most of the time. And then my interior layers. Then I'm going to change their thicknesses, and I'm going to want to make sure that I use their actual dimensions. So my siding has 3/4 of an inch. It's 1 by 6 pieces of 1 by 6. But a 1 by 6 is nominal. Its actual dimensions would be 3/4. And I'm going to change its function to be a finish. The next one would be my sheathing, which I'm going to change to be a substrate. And I'm going to give it a thickness of 0.5 or 1/2. Then I've got my structure, which is going to be 5.5 inches. And then on the inside, I'm going to have another finish that I would change to be a 1/2 inch, which would be my drywall. What you can do and what you should do, but I've got to figure out why my Revit won't allow me to do it, is you can change these to be the specific material. You can change this to be wood siding. You can change this to be a plywood. And to do that, you click on by category, and then on this little dot, dot, dot that pops up. But for some reason, my computer, when I go to click on it, just will not let me change any of it. So I'm going to leave it for now. For our next part of the project, changing those will be very important. But for now, I just need to have the different layers defined and their thicknesses defined as well. And we'll notice that here now my total thickness is 7.25, like I want it to be. I'm going to click OK and OK. And not a whole lot changed within our building, because only this one wall got changed to our exterior wall type. So I want to change all of these walls now to the exterior one. I'm going to click on all of them. So if I click on one and hold down the control key, I can click on multiple walls. So if I'm holding control, I can click on a bunch of them, and I can change their wall type from this generic 8-inch, and I'm going to go find the exterior wall that I made. And what happened is they got a tiny bit skinnier than what they were. He's a dog again. What are you doing, man? And with the amount of detail that I'm looking at, I can't see a lot. But if I come right down here, right next to where it has that 1/8 of an inch, I can switch my detail level to fine, and then we can actually see if I switch this to be something more like 1 inch equals a foot, I can actually see all of the tiny little details and all of the little layers. They've all been added into my project as I needed them. This wall, I need half of it to be one type and the other half to be another. So what I'm going to do is click on it, and then I'm going to split it. So I'm going to hit split element, and then just click somewhere on it, and it just cut this wall into different parts. And then I'm going to just drag these little dots so that this way they go exactly where I want them to. So I just click on this wall, and I just dragged that little blue grip. I didn't want them to become one. And I can have it be exactly where I want it to be. The other thing I can do is while I'm cutting it, I can go to exactly where I want it to be cut, and I can slice it like right there. That way I don't have to click and drag. But usually I'm too lazy to place it exactly where I need it to be. And then I can click on just this wall, switch it to be my exterior wall type that I made. You'll notice sometimes that things will like get flipped around, and we can switch it if we want to by clicking those arrows. But I want it to be where I've got my exterior materials on the outside and then my interior ones here. My drywall on the inside. So now with this one, I'm going to edit type, duplicate, and I'm just going to name this one Drywall 2x6 Drywall. You want to make sure that when you're naming them, you're giving them names that you can actually remember and recognize, because later on when you go to use them, you're going to want to remember. And after I've duplicated it, I'm just going to go into edit the structure, insert 2 new layers in. I'm going to move one up, and I'm going to click on another one and move it down. And I'm just going to say, this is a finish. That's 1/2 inch. This one is a finish. That is 1/2 inch. And this is a structure that is 5.5. And I'll click OK and OK. And then it kind of just updated that wall for us. I might have to go and edit this a little bit more just so it fits the way I want it to fit. Right now with the way things are joining, they're joining a little wonky. There we go. So that was just kind of clicking on those little blue dots and just moving them around, shifting them so everything fits the way I want it to. With my interior one, I'm just going to once again click on it, edit my type, duplicate it. I'm just going to name this interior wall. Edit the structure. I'm going to insert in 2 more pieces, move one up, move another down, and then I'm going to give it a thickness of 0.5 This time my stud is 3.5 because it's made out of a 2x4, and then a drywall of a 1/2 inch. So I've got a finish, and a structure. And I see that my total thickness is exactly how I want it to be. So I'm ready to click OK and OK. And it just updated it. I'm going to keep all of this here for now, so that this way when I make all of my different measurements regarding how I want parts and pieces laid out, I've got everything exactly the way I want it to be. So to start measuring out my different amounts, I'm going to go to the aligned dimension tool, and I want to make sure that my measurements are going from the base of the stud to face of the stud. So I'm going to scroll in, and what it wants to do is it wants to go from center of stud to center of stud. And that's because a lot of things are measured from centers, but I want the face of this. So I'm going to click on tab while hovering over this part. If I hit tab, you can see how the face of the stud got highlighted, and I'll click there to start my measurement, and then I'm going to zoom in over here, hit tab again. Sometimes it's a little hard to get it. There we go. And then I can get my measurement, which is 10 feet. Yay! I'm going to make this a little bit. Let's try. If I do a 1/4 of an inch, well, I can still get those lines okay. If this doesn't read as 10 feet, I can click on the wall it's associated with, any one of them, and then I can come to this measurement and I can change it to be whatever I want it to be, and it'll update it. But it was exactly what I wanted it to be, so I didn't have to make any changes. If I place this dimension and it's not exactly where I want it placed, I can just click on it and drag it and move it up and down. So I'll show that again. I go to Align Dimension up here in my quick toolbar, and I want to go from the face of the stud, which it's not giving me automatically, but if I hit tab, it'll let me, to the face of the stud. So I just hit tab and I click on both of those and then up to place it. To do it again, tab, click on a stud, tab to click on the stud, and see this one is a little bit off of what I wanted it to be. I want it to be 18 feet, but it's 17 feet 8 inches. So I've got to figure out where exactly it's going a little bit wonky. 1 second, Teeter. So I clicked on the outside of the stud, and this time I'm going to go to the drywall of sorts. And so that's at 12 feet, and I want that to stay 12 feet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it by clicking on that lock icon, and then I can click on this wall, and I can choose this dimension and change it to 18 feet. And now it adjusted this wall. It didn't adjust the south wall. It didn't adjust the south wall because it knew that the measurement from here to here had to stay 12 feet. I have that locked in. So after I place dimensions, I usually lock them after the fact so that this way they stay exactly how I want them to be. I'm going to go place another dimension from edge to edge, face of stud to face of stud, and it is 24 feet. So I'm just going to lock that in at 24 feet so that this way it doesn't change. The reason why most of my measurements came out exactly the way I wanted them to is because when I initially made these walls, and I set the location line to be for face exterior. Doing that makes it way more likely that everything is going to be exactly what you want it to be. Because if you leave it as its default of wall center line, that means that it's measuring 24 feet from the center of the wall to the center of the wall, which I don't want it to be. To start figuring out where I want like my doors and windows to be, I'm just going to go into the aligned dimension, and I'm going to go from edge to the center of the door. That's going to automatically know that you're going to want to measure to the center of the door because Revit's an architectural program, and it knows that you're going to want to go to the centers of openings. We'll notice that I want it to be 4 feet, but it's 3'10", and so I can just click on the door, and my dimension then became editable, and I can change it to 4 feet, and I can also click on that dimension and lock it in. A lot of times in between things, I'll put this in the email that I send out, but in between doing things, you have to hit escape once, twice, 3 times just to kind of refresh Revit for doing everything. What I can do then is have these doors line up with each other. So without having to go and put a dimension on this door, I can have it where both of these doors are aligned with each other, which is what I want them to do. The same thing with my doors and windows here, and the same thing with these 3. I have them pretty much lined up, but I need to line them up perfectly. So to do that, I'm going to use the Align tool. I'm going to click on this door once, and I get these toolbars that pop up, and I can do Align, which is the one that looks like a little graph. So in the Align tool, I'm going to click on the thing I want to keep in its place, which would be the center of this door, and then what I want to make lined up with it, which is the center of this one. And it will just shift that door over then to be perfectly in line with it. If I lock them into place, that means then that as I move this door, it would move this one with it. If I hit escape, and I try to do that right now, it's actually not going to let me. I can't use my arrow keys. I can't use the move tool because I have it locked at 4 feet. If I unlock it from 4 feet, as I move that door over, it moves the other one with it. So I can nudge it in place with my arrow keys, and if I wasn't sure where I wanted to put that door, but I knew I wanted both of them aligned with each other, I can keep everything aligned with each other. So I'll show you that again. I'm going to do an aligned dimension. I'm going to zoom in until I'm able to see the edge of the stud right there. Click to the center, and that happened to be exactly where I want it to be. That was just pure luck that I made that 4 feet, if I'm honest, but it's exactly where I wanted it to be. Hit escape a bunch of times to exit, and I'm going to click on that dimension and lock it. Escape to exit it. So that this way, this window can't move. And then to align everything with it, I'm going to click on that window, Align tool. This is also a very good thing that tends to pop up, usually around like every 30 minutes while you're working in Revit. You haven't saved, it prompts you and reminds you to save everything, which is helpful. I'm going to click yes, save it. I'm just going to put mine on my desktop, and I'm just going to name it Tech 1728 dash last name. I spelt my own last name wrong. First name. I just realized this should be an underscore. Why am I taking that much time? Because if I want you to take that much time to do it, I've got to do it. B02. And save it. Remember, if you're using UDesk, you've got to save it in your P drive or put it on a flash drive. And so then to go back to aligning things, click on my window, align, what I want to keep, and then what I want to bring to be aligned with it. I can lock them into place, and I can also bring this other one into place with them as well. So I can say align, what I want to keep, and what I want to bring into it. And now all three of these are perfectly lined up with each other. Now to start placing, or to put these windows into place, I'm going to go into the dimension tool all the way up at the top. Zoom in till I get to where the stud is. Hit tab, get the edge of the stud. And I'm going to go to the center of that window. And I've got to do some calculations then to figure out exactly where the center of that would be. Let me look at the drawing for a second. I'm pretty sure it's 6 or 7 foot 6 inches, but I just want to check. No, it would be 6 foot, because it's 6 foot from edge to the center of this bank, plus 1 foot 9 inches. So it would be 7 foot 9 then from edge of the wall to the center of that bank. So I'm going to just click on this window. Or click on that wall rather. And then be able to edit my dimension. And I'm just going to do 7 space 9. And see, what happened was it moved my wall, which I didn't necessarily want it to do. But I'm going to go back and check, and it looks like all of my other dimensions, especially since I locked them, didn't get changed. The only thing that got thrown off was this middle wall, which I can go back and change afterward. Then what I'm going to do is place a dimension from center of here to center of here, which should be 1 foot 9 plus 1 foot 9, which would be 2 foot, 3 foot 6. Yes, 3 foot 6. And I'm just going to nudge this window over until it reads as 3 foot 6. Click on this dimension, and I'm going to lock it into place. I don't know, I forgot to lock that one. I'm going to click on it, lock it into place. But this way, nothing can move. I like locking things in place so that way they're just stuck there. All right. Another dimension. Click and tab to make sure you're getting the edge of it to the center. I'm at 7 foot 7. Hit escape. And oh no, I can either use my keyboard keys to nudge myself to where I want to be, which I want to be at 7 foot 9. And fun fact, the more you zoom in, the smaller little increments it moves at. And then for this window, I want it to place a dimension from tab, center. I can also, it will kind of lock when you have dimensions lined up with each other like that, which is always good. And then I can either type in specific amounts or use the arrow keys on my keyboard to kind of nudge anything where I want it to be. I really like personally to use the arrow keys and just kind of nudge things into place. I'm going to lock it, click on this one, lock it, and now I've got almost everything where I want it to be. This wall somehow got thrown off. So I just kind of use that blue tool to kind of just make it so that they all get locked in place with each other. This wall, I used to have it perfectly centered, but now it's not. And so I can either move it around by just dragging it, or I can move it and I can actually snap it to where it's on the middle. So I'll show that again. If yours happens to get off-centered like mine did, I'm just going to click on it, move. I'm going to grab it by its middle, and it's giving me that dashed line to let me know. And then I'm going to snap to the midpoint. And so that way now it's evenly distributed. I'm going to take another look at my 3D view, and not a lot has changed in it, but still I'm kind of just getting everything set up exactly the way I want it to. Very, very particular, putting everything in place, because if I'm making it all correct in just the one plan, everything's getting updated for me automatically. So we'll notice if I go to my east elevation, this elevation view is almost done. It's made for me automatically. If I go to my north, it's then here's my bathroom side, and here's that little door on that porch we're going to go to my south. Everything's being made almost automatically. What a dream. One thing you'll notice looking at these elevations is I've got these level markers over here. And that's why when I originally made my wall, I set my top constraint to level 2. So if I go and change anything regarding level 2, if I drag it up or drag it down, the walls go with it. I can also click on the measurement there, and I can set it to be a specific amount, and it'll go and change it for me. One thing I'm going to change real fast is that if I take a measurement from this level up to my window, which it doesn't really matter too much where you take this measurement, you should be taking it from here, is that I want that to be 2 feet. So then I'm going to click on these 2 windows, and I'm going to just arrow key nudge them down until they're at 2 feet. I'm going to go to my north elevation, and this time it's for the top of my window, from the bottom to the top of the window, is I want that to read as 6'8". And so I'm just going to click on the window and nudge it into place, just using my keyboard. I can always drag it too into a place particularly, and I'm not going to be able to move it side to side at all because of the fact that in my floor plan I locked it to be at that specific. So let's see. Got to do my east one. I'm just going around to all the sides and just changing it. You could change it beforehand by changing the sill height before you place it, and you can also change the sill height in here. So I'll show you on the west side. I can click on a wall and I can change the sill height from 3 feet to 2 feet, and it should automatically then update it there. Why do I nudge them into place? I don't know. I just get used to doing it one way and then I just don't change. Of being stubborn. Or, ooh, one thing I could do for this one is I can actually do an align of the top of this with the top of this. Why isn't it moving it? Maybe I can't. There we go. That was weird. So I can have it where my two windows get aligned with each other, and that way they're just nice and even. So I'm going to double click and just check that all of my windows have been changed. It looks like we have, so we're good to go. I'm going to look at it 3D, and then I'm going to get ready to add my roof. I'm going to go back into my level 1 floor plan, my project browser, and I'm going to go into the architecture tab and add a roof. Now, right now it's telling me, hey, you're on level 1 and you're trying to make a roof. That's a bad idea. Do you want to move to a different level? Which you might have a level labeled roof. I just have level 1 and level 2. I'm going to say, yeah, you know what? Let's make the roof on level 2. Let's not put it in the middle of my floor. And I'm going to click yes. And then there's two different ways I can make my roof. I can select the lines I want it associated with, the walls I want it associated with, by just clicking on them, and it'll automatically make a roof footprint by just going around all of your edges. So the roof footprint are all those pink lines. I'm not going to do it that way. So I'm going to select all of that and hit delete. I'm going to use these drawing tools up here to just make a rectangle that goes from the outer edge all the way over here. So I want to just go all the way around as one big rectangle. You can also have an offset or an overhang like automatically apply. So if I've made an offset of 1 foot and I came back over here to this pick wall tool, 1 foot, we'll see how that dotted line of where it would put my overhang gets automatically just put out a foot, which is kind of nice because most buildings would have overhang. Our drawing doesn't, but most would. So I'm not done with the roof yet, but I'm going to show you what happens if I click OK right now, if I check off to finish the roof. It doesn't look like a lot happened. If I go to my 3D view, we'll see that I now have a roof. So by default, it makes all of your roof lines have a slope to them. And if all of your sides are sloping, you then have a hip style roof, which isn't what we want in this scenario. I'm going to click on my roof, edit footprint, and I can do this in the 3D view, or I can double click in the project browser and change things around here. And I want it to only have one side sloping for a shed style roof. If I wanted like a gable style, then I would say, okay, this side, I don't want you to be sloped. So I'll click on that line and I'll say, define slope, no thank you. I'd click on this side, define slope, no thank you. And if I click OK, and I go back into my 3D view, I now have like a gable style roof happening. Still not what I want. So I'm going to click on my roof or double click it. But I just like to click and then go edit footprint. And for our style roof, we only want this side here, our west side, to have a slope to it. So I'm going to click on this side. I'm going to say do not slope. And then I have a shed style roof. It's way steeper than what we want it to be. And so we can change the slope over here in our properties bar. 2 ways, or so many ways actually we can change it. But one would be to just scroll down in here for this slope, and it's at 912, and we want 312. The other thing we could do is edit footprint, click on this side, and then I could edit the slope here, or I can edit it over here. But whenever you're done with a roof, you either have to say cancel editing the roof or accept the changes that I've made. Because right now, while I'm editing this roof and I go into my architecture tab, all of these tools, I can't use any of them because I need to either say yes or no to what I'm doing right now. The same thing goes with like making a floor and stuff like that. You can't do anything. Everything gets grayed out until you do something with your roof or your floors. I want to attach all of these walls up to the roof. And so to do that, I'm just going to click on the wall, attach top to base, click on the roof, and it'll just bring it to where they meet. Click on the wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. The nice thing is then is if I click on this roof and I just use these arrows to change it, as I change the roof around, those walls then, because they're attached, they get changed with it. I'm just going to Control Z to undo, get my roof back to where I wanted it to be. Click on the wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. Wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. Shift scroll wheel to kind of orbit myself around. Click on the wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. Click on the wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. Wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. And then I can kind of get everything attached to it real nice and easy. Oop, I missed this guy right here. Click on the wall, attach top to base, click on the roof. And I've got everything kind of sealed up in one envelope. Back to my floor plan. Next thing I'm going to do is add in my floor, which I'm going to use the floor tool. And it brings up something very similar to the roof, where everything else now, any other tab gets grayed out. I can't do anything in these tabs until I finish what I'm doing in here. I can draw in a specific boundary, or I can use the pick wall tool that it does by default, and I can click on the walls I want associated with it. And I'm just going to click all the way around the edge. And then once I'm done, I can click on finish and it would make my floor. If I want to change anything regarding my floor, I can go to edit boundary and I can change it. One thing you're going to notice is that if your floor isn't a finished loop, so right now I've got this line here not meeting with this line, and I go to click finish, I get an error code and it says it cannot be ignored, that this is something I have to go fix. My lines have to be a closed loop, and it even highlighted in orange where my loop wasn't closed. So I can go to continue, and I can either draw a little line part in there, or I can just click on them and drag them. If I have a line too that like goes further than where it needs to go, so let me just exaggerate that. A line like that, it's saying, hey, these overlap, it's not a closed loop. Or if I just have this little part that's coming off of the edge, it's going to say it can't be there, you've got to fix that problem. So it has to be one completely closed piece. And now I've got my floor. So if I go to my 3D view, we'll notice how my floor is kind of sitting right underneath my walls, which is good. That's where I want it to be. And I can also click on it and I can edit it. Right now it's just a generic 12-inch floor. I can switch its different types. So if I wanted to switch it to be like a wood floor or a ceramic or a carpet, I can change it there. I'm going to go to edit type, duplicate, and and I'm just going to call this one new floor. And I'm going to edit the structure. I'm going to insert in a new layer and move it up so that I have one in the core boundary and one outside, because we actually just have a plywood floor in this house. It's kind of weird, but what we've got. And I'm going to say it's 0.5. I'm going to leave this one as a structure, and it has a thickness of 0 feet 7¼ because it's 2 by 8, but we're thinking in actuals, not nominals. I meant to make this 3/4, my bad. Okay, and apply. And now our floor is just a little bit thinner. It has, if we were to cut a section view of it, we would be able to see all the different parts and pieces in there, and everything would be good to go. With our roof, I'm just going to click on it to double check it because we just made a generic roof. And so I'm going to go to edit type. I'm going to duplicate it and call it new roof. Edit the structure. Insert in all of my different materials that I want. And kind of just move them up and down until I have them organized how I want them to be. And I've got a finish of 1.5 inches. I don't think I want to keep it that way, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. A substrate of 1/2 inch, a structure of, and let me actually check the instructions fast. Or turn my tablet off, that's an option too. And then this would be a 1/2 inch finish on the inside. Maybe one of these is off, and I think it's this one. I'm going to change it to 0.75. Maybe I'm still off. I don't know. Feel free to judge me on that one. Check the instructions. I don't have them in front of me, but I'll see. I'm going to click OK and OK. And then it made my roof a little bit thinner. So I've got my roof the exact thickness I want it to be. What I often do then as well is for like all of my exterior walls, I'll usually bring them down a little bit so that they're covering my floor. And how I'll select a bunch of them is I'll either go around, click on one, and hold down Control to add things to my selection, or window around a bunch of stuff. And right now it won't let me change anything regarding my walls because I have too many things of different categories selected right now. But what I can do is filter things out of my selection. So I can use filter to say, I don't want any doors selected, I don't want floors selected, I just want walls. Now that I only have walls selected, I can go and I can change the base offset. And if I make it -8 inches, it's going to bring those walls down so that they're 8 inches underneath the top of the floor, or level 1, which is where I want them to sit. That way they kind of sit nice and flush. Next thing I want to add is my foundation. And to do that, I'm going to add a level so that way I have somewhere to draw it to. I'm going to look at one of the elevations. It doesn't matter which one. So I just double clicked to add one. And then right here in the architecture tab, I have the ability to add a level. And I'm just going to go down and just click, click. I like to keep all of my kind of level markers nice and lined up with each other You can also move them if you want, so you can like drag them so that way they're closer. You don't have to. I didn't place this exactly where I wanted it to be, so I wanted it to be 2'6", but I can easily just change that by clicking on the number and saying -2 space 6. And it's called level 3. If I wanted to change its name, so I can click on the name itself and I can change it to say like foundation. And right now it's saying, do you want to rename all of these other views right here along with it? So I'll say sure. So now I've got a floor plan for a foundation. I've got a ceiling plan for a foundation. If I had electrical views, I would have an electrical plan for the foundation. And now I can go and draw in my walls. How I do my foundations is maybe a little bit weird, but I find it to be the best and easiest way to do it, is I go into the level 1 plan, and I'm in the ceiling plan right now, which is why everything went away. So I'm not going to have a little mini heart attack. I'm going to make sure I go to floor plan, level 1, and I'm going to go to the wall tool. I'm going to choose the wall type of foundation. We just have 12-inch concrete. We don't have any just regular CMU one. Here's generic 8-inch masonry. Let me just check that one. So I'm going to choose that one. Edit type. Edit structure. So yeah, ooh, perfect. It's got the exact thickness I want. It says it's CMUs. Wonderful. That's the one I'm going to use. And I'm going to keep this at core face center or wall center line to wall center line. Actually, I'm going to do core face exterior. I changed my mind. But for this, I'm going to have a base constraint, a bottom level of foundation, and I'm going to make it a top constraint of up to level 1. So I'm drawing on a plan view that I can't see currently. And I do that so I can just easily just kind of go around and just say I want it to just follow around these edges. And I'm getting this little error code that says my highlighted walls overlap. And I might also get an error code that says you're drawing in a view you can't currently see. What's it telling me now? Let's see. Oh, I know, because I have that offset. Let me actually delete that. I'm going to go back to level 1. Sorry, I'm almost done, I promise. Because I'm going to go into my wall. I'm going to do my CMU wall. I've got a base constraint of foundation. And then I'm going to do a top constraint of up to level 1 with an offset of -8. And maybe now I'm starting to think I messed up the calculation. I'm getting tired. But see, the nice thing with Revit is if I accidentally goof something up, it's pretty easy to change. Yeah. And so now what this error code is saying is that none of the walls I made are visible in this plan view. It doesn't mean that I messed anything up. It just means you can't see them in this view. They're still there. They still exist. I just can't see them currently, which is fine. That's exactly what I want. And I'm just going to go around and trace all of my walls from the edge of the stud to the edge of the stud. I think I want to add one in here, but I can also just go into my floor plan of my foundation, and I can just kind of drag that one over. I'm going to go into my foundation plan. Why is it showing me these ones in my foundation plan? What the heck? There's two reasons I could think of why it's doing that. And my guess would be of where my foundation cut's being made in this plan. So if I go to my view range and edit it, okay, that's why. So it's making the cut for this plan 7 feet 6 inches above or 4 feet above, because that's typically where we do things. I'm going to say just only 1 foot above. And then a lot of things go away. Don't know why my windows still popped up. That's really weird. But I can also hide those. So just to show you what I did for that was I just scrolled down in my properties bar for this plan, and I went to my view range and said edit, and then I said don't cut it 4 feet above where this plan is, only cut 1 foot above where this plan is. Peter, you're killing me, man. If these windows are popping up like mine are, I'm just going to right click on them and say hide in view, and I can do hide in view element, which gets rid of just one window, or I can right click hide in view category, which gets rid of all of the windows or anything associated with it. So that is very helpful because it doesn't delete them at all. And if I ever wanted to get any of them back, I can click on this little light bulb here, and then I can click on an element and say unhide this one or unhide the category. So that's just, sure, let's save. So that's just this little light bulb. You can get your hidden stuff back. Last thing I'm going to do today, and then I'm going to call it, is add in my footing, or I actually should drag that to be longer. I'm going to go back into my floor plan. I'm just going to click on this. I'm just going to drag this wall all the way across. Easy fix. And now I'm going to go into my 3D view, and I'm going to add my footing all the way around here. So to add my footing to all of my walls is I'm just going to go to the Structure tab, and I'm going to do a foundation wall, and there's one in there that is a 2 foot by 12 foot footing. What I always do is I go to edit type anyway, just to make sure that it's set to be the correct thing. So I've got a foundation of 1 foot, and then I can just click on the walls I want my footing associated with. And right now it looks like it's already doing it way wider. Yeah, it's making it 4 feet wide. I'm going to click on it, edit type. What if I do this 36 one? There we go. I can change that to be so. Scratch all that. And I'm going to do a foundation wall. I'm going to keep it at this 36 by 12, but then go edit type, duplicate, and I'm going to make it 24 inches by 12 inches. Okay. Change my width to be 2 feet. Okay. And then I'm just going to select the walls I want to put a footing on. And it'll just automatically go apply a cast in place footing to it. And that is just kind of part one. Let me hit save for this project. Sorry that I couldn't have class live with you guys and that I had to record it instead. Hopefully this didn't come out too poopy. If you need any help, please come into my office hours. I've got office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock. And I'll be happy to help you guys out with any stuff regarding Reddit. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.